If you don't know the name Jon Sumrall, you should. Just keep remembering that name. If you forget it, if it fades to the back burner of your memory on a weekly basis, allow it to come back to the forefront every now and then, because Jon Sumrall, unfortunately for the Green Wave, likely not long for the road over there. I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were discussing if Hugh Freeze were to no longer be the head coach at the University of Auburn, or is it Auburn University? I forget. Those can be tough to keep track of. Anyway, who would you want to hire? And he said, well, Jon Sumrall, the guy at Tulane, would be pretty good. I thought, I hadn't even thought about that. He's in the SEC footprint. An SEC program is hired from the state of Louisiana within the last 5 years. It's Billy Napier at Florida. Make of that whatever you will. Jon Sumrall is a really good coach. But again, that's a futuristic topic. Green Wave fans, I apologize for putting that thought out there. Let me focus on the here and now. I should be focusing on the here and now, because after Boise State's beatdown at the hands of South Florida in week 1, last Thursday, the Broncos are no longer the favorite. They're still in the running, but they are no longer the favorite. They cannot be viewed that way to make the playoff from the Group of 5 ranks. That title belongs to the Green Wave of Tulane, because Jon Sumrall has got a heck of a team. He's in just his second year, but he has done at Tulane what Kalen DeBoer has failed to do so far at Alabama, and that is execute the handoff of the baton. It's, here you go. We're going to pass it from this guy to this guy, and he's going to keep running and keep the speed going and hopefully win the race. Alabama is not doing that. He's dropped the baton, he kicked it a couple of times, and then he forgot to jump over a hurdle. Sumrall, on the other hand, has taken it in stride and has bolted into first or second place. And he's coming down, I don't think the home stretch, but he's well underway, and he's far enough along the track to know that, hey, this guy's going to be one of the top finishers when the season comes to a close. They played a Big Ten team. They were favored against a Big Ten team in their first game of the year. Did you see the final score? Jake Retzlaff, the newest member of the Green Wave, wasn't even popping off with his arm yet. And you know what? That's pretty understandable, because he's been there for an hour and a half or so, and yet Tulane went out and just dominated a team from the Big Ten. Now, that team is Northwestern, so let's not pretend like it's a conference championship contender or even a bowl team. They didn't look like that. Preston Stone, former SMU quarterback, I once upon a time wondered why Rhett Lashley went from him to Kevin Jennings. Now I know. He threw 4 interceptions in this game. That Tulane defense is nasty. Absolutely nasty. 23-3, the final score. And when people talk about the difference between the Group of 5 and the Power 4, there's a financial gap, which exists here, by the way. Northwestern's not a partial media rights earning member in the Big Ten Conference. They have got many millions of dollars more. It's just that Jon Sumrall has put a better football team on the field, and they played like it in their first game. So the reason this victory was so important, dare I say big, for the Tulane Green Wave, is that when you are seeking to be the Group of 5 champion and get into the college football playoff, you have to have some results against the Power 4 that look good on a resume. Notice, I didn't say wins. Boise last year, I don't think they had a win against the Power 4. But what did they have? I almost feel like I'm talking about European soccer. Ted Lasso, anybody? I love Ted Lasso. You should too. I hope everybody does. It's great. They're like a 10-episode stretch where they screw things up, but they corrected course at the end. Anyway, the result that Boise State had last year that gave them credibility was, wait a minute, Oregon is the number 1 team in the country right now. They beat Ohio State, and Boise on that same field went there and lost by 3. They got a lot of credit for that. Anytime you have a chance to win any Power 4 game for a Group of 5, let alone dominate a Power 4 team. And this is not Big 12 or ACC. This is Big 10. Think whatever you want of Northwestern. That level of credibility cannot be overstated. So for Tulane to have picked up that win, they play at South Alabama this week. Don't sleep on the Jags. Do not sleep on the Jags, because you never know what could happen down there. you don't want to have the look-ahead factor. Tulane next week gets Duke. You will hear a lot more about Duke on this program on tomorrow's show because we're going to have a full breakdown, keys and predictions and everything that you need to know for their game against Illinois this week because it's a really, really important college football game. Duke next week goes to Tulane in the Darian Menso return trip after he left the Green Wave in the offseason via the portal to go get millions of dollars to be the quarterback at Duke. So Tulane has to avoid that. Go on the road, get a win, and if they come home and beat Duke, I'm telling you, they should be ranked in the top 25. You can make the case they already should be with Boise not there. When South Florida is the team that beat Boise State, I don't know that there's as strong of a case for that right now. But if they're 3-0 with 2 wins against the Power 4, 1 Big Ten, 1 ACC, and Duke, I think Duke's a solid team this year. I don't know if they're going to beat Illinois. Again, tune in tomorrow to hear more about that. If you have those 2 wins early in the season, then guess what? You should absolutely be ranked in the top 25. And then from there, the Green Wave will control their own destiny. They won't have to beat Ole Miss to stay ranked ahead of Boise because they have what the Broncos actually are not going to be able to provide unless they pull a shocking upset in South Bend against Notre Dame. Now, there are other group of 5 teams that could insert themselves into the fold here, but Tulane should absolutely be viewed as the front runner. They were the number 2 odds team coming into the year, and I talked about them in the offseason as, hey, this could be good. And then they added Jake Retzlaff, and I said, whoa, that guy just led BYU to 11 wins. I bet if he goes and plays mostly American teams, he can succeed. Yeah, turns out he can. In this game against Northwestern, boy, rough day for Preston Stone. Greener pastures are ahead. Tulane ran for 282 yards. Retzlaff only threw for 152. He ran for 113, including a 69-yard scamper. So he didn't even do what he kind of became known for during his time with BYU, which was using his arm that was underrated in terms of how much talent that arm has and the strength and all that. I thought that was what popped for him most last year. And all of a sudden he's showcasing the running ability. And I was like, whoa. I mean, I knew he could move, but I didn't know he had 70-yard touchdowns in him. So watch out for Tulane. Once he continues to get comfortable and settled down in the offense, this is a Tulane team that can win a lot of football games. I don't know that they'll win them all. There are some good teams in the American, darn good teams, and they've got a tough slate ahead. But if they beat South Alabama this week, you will, on this program, I guarantee it, hear me talk pretty extensively, I bet more than a lot of other national college football shows out there, about Tulane's game against Duke, because that would give them the ultimate inside track to the playoff. They already control their own fate because of Boise's loss. Boise lost the advantage it had, which was its preseason ranking. That's Tulane now, and they were darn impressive in week 1. That absolutely gets a nice lean win vibe from yours truly. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time, and until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.